Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett along with Kent Myers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we welcome in a guest who's not been with us before, but I think people are going to find her delightful.
Yes, we're really pleased to present to you the Honorable Dana Kuehn, Associate District Judge, Tulsa County. Judge Kuehn has been the Associate District Judge for a number of years, but prior to that time she had a very active experience in the District Attorney's Office and at Oklahoma State University, and she's a native Oklahoman, has a lot of interesting information to give us. I think it'll be a good show.
Judge Kuehn, today's guest in The Verdict. We'll be right back.
I went to college at the University of San Diego. I went to medical school at Yale School of Medicine. I did my internship at Harvard and then my residency at Columbia in New York City. My name is Whitney Tolpenrud. I'm a dermatologist and I am Chickasaw. I always knew that somehow I would figure out a way to give back to my tribe, to say thank you. So I've been coming to the hospital now for about a year. I come for 2 days consecutively every other month. I can't describe to you the level of satisfaction and humility that it's been able to provide to my life. And that is just so energizing and reminds me why I went into this to begin with.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
As we talked about in the first segment, we are really pleased to welcome to the set of The Verdict the Honorable Dana Kuehn, the Associate District Judge of Tulsa County. Judge Kuehn did her undergraduate work at Oklahoma State University, did her law work at the University of Tulsa, and I might add, just a couple of 3 weeks ago, was inducted into the University of Tulsa College of Law Hall of Fame for her performance of legal duties in Tulsa County. She, after graduating from the University of Tulsa College of Law, was engaged in private practice for a number of years, then joined the District Attorney's Office in Tulsa County, and in that time amassed a wonderful record of child protection in handling sex crimes, child abuse crimes, and the like for the entire county. After that, she became, in 2006, the Associate District Judge of Tulsa County and has remained in that position since then. But this is her first visit to The Verdict. Judge, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, for the novice, what are the principal duties of an Associate District Judge?
That's a great question. Actually, when I ran for office, I spent a lot of time educating people I was talking to about voting to remember about civics, that we have 3 branches of government. And actually under the Oklahoma Constitution, I believe it's Article 7, which establishes what our judge categories are in the state of Oklahoma. Each of the 77 counties has an associate district judge. I believe historically it was done that way because some district judges cover more than one county. So all of the 77 counties have an associate district judge. So when the district judge maybe leaves the county seat to go to a different county to conduct court, there is an associate district judge in every county to run court that day. It's a little interesting for Tulsa and Oklahoma counties because we have over 14 district judges and nobody travels. So my duties are actually what every other district judge does in Tulsa County. I have a full docket. Currently, I hear only civil cases with amounts in controversy over $10,000.
Now, around the state, even in Oklahoma County, those duties can vary, the duties of the associate district judge in that county. For instance, in Oklahoma County, I guess the associate district judge has a probate docket and handles primarily matters such as that. But in Tulsa, you just handle whatever comes down the road, I guess.
You are correct. I know some of my associate friends in other counties, especially the smaller counties, they handle all kinds of dockets. In Tulsa County, I get to select which docket I would like. The district judges usually do criminal, felony dockets or civil over 10,000. And I did a criminal docket for a while and then moved over to a civil docket. My duties include motion hearings, jury trials, pretrial conferences, just anything that involves a civil case and the prosecution of that.
Let's take a step back from your judge duties, back to your district attorney experiences. Talk to our viewers about what you did in the district attorney's office and with an emphasis on a subject near and dear to my heart, the protection of children. Can you talk about that a little bit?
For a long time. I'm as passionate about it as you are. That's one thing I miss about practicing law. I started out at the district attorney's office as an intern when David Moss was our district attorney and loved it, and then was hired when Bill LaFortune was our district attorney, and started out on felony team, specifically doing just adult sex crime intake and any other type of felony. And in that experience, I got to start handling some child abuse felony cases, neglect cases, abuse cases. I was then sent by the district attorney, Tim Harris, who then became the district attorney. I served under a lot of district attorneys. They changed over there for a while. He let me be in charge of the Justice Center in Tulsa. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that. It's a great program where it brings all the agencies together that deal with child abuse into one building. So child abuse victims do not have to travel from place to place to place. And more importantly, they can be provided the services they need in one place. And they're only interviewed, hopefully once, and that's by a forensic interview, someone that's trained in how to ask specific questions, because as you probably are well aware, the way you talk to children and inquire of things that can be traumatic is important if you want to try to present that later in court. So I was the district attorney out there. I officed out there, and I worked with DHS, OU Medical, the Child Abuse Nonprofit Organization, as well as the Tulsa Police Department and the Tulsa County Sheriffs, who were housed in the same building. And we worked through child abuse cases.
How long were you there?
A little over 2 years.
And how'd you find that experience?
I've found it being heroic at times, because I was getting to help children that were harmed or hurt. But I also have to tell you, and if you've worked with children before in that type of situation, it can also kind of be a little bit stressful. I had young children of my own at the time, so sometimes you just kind of have to take a deep breath and not get too upset about how people treat children, and be more excited about the fact that you can stand in for them and make sure that they get justice.
Well, you also tried a lot of cases of folks accused of crimes against children, did you not?
Yes, sir, I sure did. And it was difficult. I also tried felony murder cases as a prosecutor, and I always told everyone that those cases were easier for me to prosecute than a child abuse case. They're very difficult. Number one, people don't want to believe that child abuse happens. So if you're on a jury and you're having to listen, it's almost overwhelming that someone could actually do that. So you have that burden to overcome as a prosecutor. But you also have children as victims. So you're having to put a child on the witness stand in a huge courtroom. It's very uncomfortable for them. They're very upset. So you also have that aspect of the case that you're having to deal with as a prosecutor as well. They were very difficult, but I always felt like I was doing something for the community, and especially for the child, when I was standing up for them in court.
How many years were you in the DA's office?
10 years total. Yes, sir. And after I did the work at the Justice Center, which is specifically on felony child abuse. I was sent to the Juvenile Bureau in Tulsa County and was the director of the Juvenile Bureau for some years, where I headed the prosecutorial division on delinquent and deprived cases.
I know we've been working on improving the process and doing better in general on child abuse cases. How far have we come?
We have come extremely far. I can give you a great example. There was
Please
a
do.
case that was a cold case. It was a homicide. And when I was at the Justice Center, actually, a detective, Bishop, brought me a charge that had been a cold case for probably some 12 years, where a child, a 2-year-old, had died. And the ME report said homicide, but it was never prosecuted. And I'm giving you this example because the investigation had been, and I'm talking about 10 years from now, so this is about 20 years ago. The child had been with a mother. Her boyfriend had taken her and the other brother out to a playground, and he came home and became septic and passed away because he'd had some injury to his intestine. And the boyfriend said he fell off the merry-go-round and maybe punctured it. Well, the little brother, who wasn't really interviewed very well, there was some evidence that he had been spoken to at the hospital by a couple of people. It wasn't documented very well that he watched the boyfriend punch the little boy in the stomach because he was crying about a lollipop in the car. Well, because the investigation tactics and the way that things were done, nobody really inquired more of that child. Nobody really understood who to talk to, what kind of an investigation needed to take place, and it just sat there. I did end up filing that case, and we ended up, the guy moved to California. The detectives went out and interviewed him. I filed an arrest warrant for him as the judge to do so at the time. And we came back and we prosecuted him, and he, if I can remember right, I believe it was 11 years in DOC for that crime. But I'm telling you that because the type of investigation done then versus what would have done today, that delay in prosecuting that man would have never happened, in my opinion.
Judge Dana Kuehn is our guest today on The Verdict. We'll be right back with more.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Our guest is Judge Dana Kuehn. She's an associate district judge in Tulsa County.
Judge, tell us just approximately, I know the number varies daily, but approximately how many cases at any given time are on your docket?
I'm assigned currently, I should have looked at the numbers before today, but it's typically assigned about 700 cases on my docket alone. It varies on when I hear those cases. I would say on a typical Monday, I probably have about 20 in civil. When I was handling a felony criminal docket, I could have up to 96 cases a day.
Wow. Well, tell us how you get all the work done without the benefit of law clerks. I might add that law clerks are made available to federal judges, but not to Oklahoma State Court judges. How do you get all the reading done and the preparation work done?
Well, I have to admit, I've actually been told that I'm a speed reader. So I love to read, number one. So I just have an organizational path that I take where I know certain decisions that have to be made by a certain time. And I just make sure that I take the time to read. I work a lot, sometimes on the weekends or in the evening. But if I pace myself correctly, I feel like I'm really on top of all my decisions. I am lucky enough to have, at some points in time, if I can, the law schools in the state have externship programs where sometimes students want to come work with judges, where they actually pay for the class credit and work for me. So they're paying to work for me, but it's a great experience. And so sometimes I can have a clerk from the school that I can talk with. What's interesting about that too, besides the fact that it's an overwhelming amount to read, a lot of people don't understand that ethically, district judges are not allowed to converse with each other about decisions. So unlike an appellate court where they can roundtable about what their opinion is going to be, I am my sole person that I can talk to on those cases unless I have a clerk. They're the only person that I can discuss legal issues with to kind of feel through what the decision might be. So that's always helpful when someone's there that I can talk to. If I am going to talk to another judge about an opinion, I have to divulge that to the attorneys and make sure that they understand and they don't have a problem with it. So that's another complication with not having a clerk.
Talk to us about a typical day, if there is such a thing, in the life of your Associate District Judge in Tulsa County.
I wake up and I'm very excited that the people of Tulsa County have honored me with this job because I do work for the citizens of Tulsa, and it is an exciting job. I get to work. Typically I have civil attorneys waiting to do scheduling conferences. We have pretrial conferences. I try to schedule those in the mornings. And then in the afternoons, I do a lot of my reading time. I have specific briefs laid out where I review them, read them, and then I have to type orders. I do that almost every day. And then I also sometimes have phone calls in the middle of the day with attorneys upset about what's happening at a deposition where I might have to make a call about that. Or a jury trial. I just finished a jury trial yesterday on what's called a slip and fall, where somebody fell somewhere and then sued the place where they fell. So I also get to conduct jury trials, which is also a great part of my job.
Well, about how many cases, either as an associate district attorney or as a trial judge, have you tried? Just approximately.
As an assistant district attorney, I believe I tried over 22 felony jury trials. That's jury trials. That doesn't count other prosecutorial hearings, like preliminary hearings or prosecutions. And as a judge, I believe I tried about 70 trials to a verdict, including 2 death penalty cases. And as a civil judge, I just hit 69 yesterday with the one that I did this week of jury trials that I presided over.
Sometimes a case can be a subject matter that might be difficult to understand, and you have to do a lot of research just to understand the premise of the suit. Do you find yourself in that situation occasionally? That's
an excellent question, and yes. An example, typically maybe not in criminal cases, especially since I had a prosecutorial background, I understood the procedure really well. But on the civil docket, for example, I handled a case against Sim Group where they were suing their accountants after the bankruptcy. I think we had lawyers from Chicago, Los Angeles. I probably had 10 lawyers in my courtroom at a time on that case. They were suing for billions of dollars with a B. Just me, no clerk. Pleadings, as you can imagine, that were huge. And I was having to learn about stocks, accounting principles, corporation type principles, subsidiaries. It was a massive case. And what helped is great lawyers. When they brief the case well, you really can learn about what you're trying to decide. But yeah, I have medical malpractice cases, for example. You have to read and learn about medicine. So sometimes, actually all the time, I feel like that's one of the great parts about my job as a civil judge, is I get to learn all about all these other areas of practice that people do. But it is difficult, and I really count on the attorneys to educate me on what they need to know about the background. So the outcome is going to be better if I understand what's happening to make a decision.
Well, you've been an associate district judge now for a little over 10 years, about 11 years, and you must run for re-election.
Yes, sir.
Every 4 years, I take it?
Yes.
How do you find that experience, the handling in an ethical way, campaign contributions from lawyers perhaps, and keeping that squared away ethically?
That is also an excellent question. I've only had to run a campaign once, and I've been unopposed for all of my elections since my first time, which is great. I want to say, number one, it's extremely stressful because obviously I love my job and I want to be able to make sure that the citizens think I'm doing a good job, and the way they do that is to re-elect me. But besides being stressful about the fact that everyone has to vote on me to keep my job instead of just working at a company and the boss likes me, it's really invigorating to run a campaign. As you know, I mean, it's really invigorating to be on a ballot, to go vote, check your own name, and meet everyone, all the citizens, and tell them about yourself. But the campaign itself for judges is very difficult. We can't disclose our political affiliation. We cannot personally ask for donations ourselves, like, hey, I can't call you up and say, hey, Kent, I'm running for judge, you want to give me a donation? I also couldn't ask if I could put a sign in your yard. I have to count on people to help me make those calls. So running a judicial campaign is extremely difficult. You have to have loyal friends that really believe in you and work hard for you. With attorney contributions, I really don't find that can be a conflict. If you're elected and there's over a certain amount of money, you disclose that to the parties at the time, and if they believe that you have some type of conflict, you can get out. But after a year of being on the bench, really that conflict doesn't really seem to exist anymore, at least per opinions about judicial campaigns. But I've never felt like when someone gives me a contribution that they're asking me to rule a certain way. And if they felt that way, they're going to be super disappointed in me later because I'm going to do what I think is right and I'm going to follow the law. And most everybody truly thinks that way, I think. If a lawyer's donating towards you, your campaign, they want you to be a judge because they think you'll be fair, you'll work hard, and that you'll be good at the job.
When you have opportunities to talk to young people, maybe specifically a young woman or teenage girl, about your career and how they can be successful in life, what advice do you give people?
I have had that, I love that experience. I helped the mock trial team a little bit at Jinx High School, and anytime anyone's interested in coming up to the courtroom, a friend that maybe has someone that has a child that wants to be an attorney, I say, come up and watch. My main advice to them is something I take to heart myself. Believe in yourself. If you believe you can achieve it, you will, and work hard. And that's my main advice. And a lot of the young ladies that come to me that say they want to be in law, I ask them also, do you like to read? Do you like to argue and really persuade people about your viewpoint? And you don't have to, as a lawyer, people think, oh, you have to be in front of people and talk and be a litigator. I loved that part about the law. But I also encourage them that a law degree is something they'll have forever, and that they can use in any profession that they choose for the rest of their life, and it's an investment in them. But I really enjoy talking to younger people about my profession. I'm proud of it.
She is Associate District Judge of Tulsa County, Dana Kuehn. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Come back again.
I would love to.
Kent and I will have a final word when we get back.
There are now 11 million of us who live here and work here. I was 15 when I came here 6 years ago. I raised my family here. I drive my truck to my job every day. The only difference between now and 6 years ago, I do it legally. I wanted to. Because this is my home.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
Journal Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. We visited today with Dana Kuehn. I think it's so fascinating to talk to judges when they don't have their robes on, when they're not sitting up in the high chair, when they just kind of break down their life and what they think, and you really get to know the people behind the robe.
Yes. Well, we got very good recommendations on Judge Kuehn. I don't practice in front of her, I can say that. But she does a wonderful job in a very complicated and crowded docket in Tulsa County, and the citizens of Tulsa County are fortunate to have her.
I think she gave good advice to young people. I mean, it's not complicated, but be prepared to work really hard. And she mentioned something like you better like to read if you want to do her job. And you tapped into that, to the wide variety of subject matters that she has to go through.
Yes, if you don't like to read, don't be a lawyer.
Well, we're going to have another guest next week, but we certainly appreciate Judge Dana Kuehn coming on the show this week. She is the Associate District Judge of Tulsa County. We also have some website information. If you have a guest that you'd like to see on an upcoming edition of The Verdict, we hope you'll go to our website and tell us about it. It's theverdict.tv, theverdict.tv. Tell us about a guest you want to see or a subject matter you'd like to see covered. We'll do our best to get them on the show. That's going to do it for now. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week right here with another show on The Verdict.